Free camp is definitely a major expenditure when it comes to doing camps, especially when you're talking about a camp that's free for kids. So when you start talking about things like that, and then you start talking about the size of the camp, as that continues to grow, your budget's definitely going to grow. So what we've come up with is creative ways that you can actually fund this camp through the community. And what it does is it actually gets the community involved with the camp and gets the community involved in changing their community, changing the lives of the children that you're involved in. And it also helps you fund. And the way we do that is several different ways. One, we have a T-shirt, a free camp T-shirt, and that free camp T-shirt carries our sponsors on the back of that T-shirt. So if they give a donation of $200, then they get their logo on the back of the free camp T-shirt. And if you have 200 kids for free camp, 200, 300 kids for free camp, then you've got 200, 300 billboards walking around the community with the company name that has supported that camp on there. So there's different ways we do that. I mean, we even went as far as asking bingo halls to donate funds, because bingo halls have to give away a certain amount of money in order for them to continue to operate. So we've had bingo halls give away funds. We've had doctors' offices give away funds. We've actually, and aside from funding, if companies or businesses can't fund, then we have a list of things like food and materials that might be needed. So we'll take and bring that list to them. We've actually had grocery stores donate groceries of food, restaurants donate food, things of that nature to help fund that. So the funding it does get tricky at times, but the fact is, if we'll do our homework in our community and we'll do a good job of bridging our community with the church and with the vision of free camp and what it is we're trying to accomplish and what we're trying to do, then these people, they will get connected, because I don't know of too many businesses or organizations out there that don't want to see their community change, that don't want to see the children in their communities and the families in their communities being productive and doing things that would empower the community in a great way. So connecting the businesses, the organizations with the vision of free camp, they will give. We've never come up with a deficit at the end if we've done our work in our community to go out and to sell the vision to them, if you will, or share the vision with them of what it is that God's laid in our hearts. As far as a financial burden, I wouldn't call it necessarily a burden. I would call it more of a responsibility, because if we truly buy into what we believe God's called us to do, and that is to reach and change our communities, there's a burden in every community in America to see that community be the best community that it can possibly be. And so what we do as a church, we often take that burden and try to carry it by ourselves within our four walls. But if we'll take the responsibility of carrying out a mission that God's called us to, then we realize the burden really falls upon the entire community. And so all we have to do is connect the community with that burden. It's there. It just has to be brought out. We started Free Camp in Petersburg, Virginia, and Free Camp in Petersburg, Virginia is a very impoverished area. It's very low on the income scale. Most of the people there are impoverished or on some type of assisted living. And so the funding that comes into the church itself is not a major amount of funds. And so what we had to do was we had to think of creative ways to get outside of the four walls to bring this in. So what we did was we connected the community with that vision. So it's now it's not just a church that's thinking about changing a community. It's the community saying we need to take on the responsibility to change our community. So, a church like Crossroads that runs 100 to 130 people, we're not talking about a major, massive church here. We're talking about a church that's passionate about changing its community. So the burden is not so much financially as it is changing our community and using the creative ways that we can to do that. One of the experiences that I had as far as building a relationship in the community through fundraising is we actually built a relationship with the sheriff in the city of Petersburg. We went to her to see if she had any funding or resources, because we understand that funding can come in the exchange of money, or it can come in the exchange of resources. And so what we did was we went to her and we began to talk with her, and she made this statement to me. She said, "Kevin, I have plenty of resources, but I have no way to get them into the community." So what that equated to me was I understood that she had all of the energy, the resources, if you will, to put out into that community to help change that community, but she didn't have the connection or the bridge. We realized very quickly that we would become the bridge to that community. And so what we did was we opened up through Free Camp a relationship with her. she funneled resources to us on a continual basis. And in funding those resources, or funneling those resources to us, then we began to build a relationship with her to where she had a connection with the elderly, which we didn't have. And so in exchange, what we did was we began to minister to the elderly. We would bring food to them twice a week. Then we got where we were doing dinners on the holidays for them. And so it extended beyond free camp. And to this date, we're still reaching into the elderly community through her. We're busing in children into the sheriff's department at least once or twice a year, giving out backpacks, giving out school supplies. We're doing different things with her that have made the connection in the city. And so she continues to give us resources, not just for free camp, but she gives us resources throughout the year as we need them. And in turn, what we're doing is we're reaching the community. We're literally bringing people to her, and she's giving us the resources, and we're able to work together to change the community. So there are all kinds of little things that will happen as you begin to ask people for funding and for resources for free camp. So what you have to do is not just keep your mind closed to free camp, but begin to open up the possibilities of what could literally happen with the relationships that you build in the community as you're out fundraising. So that was a great experience that we had, a memorable moment, something I'll never forget. The beautiful thing about where I am in my life right now is I'm in a unique situation. I lived in Petersburg, Virginia. I pastored a church, Crossroads. We established free camp out there through Crossroads in Petersburg. Crossroads is still continuing free camp in Petersburg. They did one this past year without me, which I was really excited to see. It really went off well from what I understand. And so I've moved out to Amarillo, Texas. I'm pastoring a church out here now called Grace Church, and we're adapting into the free camp that's out here in Amarillo. The beautiful thing about the adapting is that even though the culture changes, even though the organizations change, for instance, in Petersburg, we use the sheriff's department, or we would use the Petersburg Ford, or we had different connections, the bingo hall, American Legion. We had different ones that would help us in our funding for free camp. And I come out here to Amarillo, and these guys have their own constituents. They have their own group of people that they use. WT, West Texas A&M, is a big proprietor for free camp out here. Chick-fil-A out here this year gave funds. Different organizations, they gave funds out here. So the fact is that it doesn't matter where you are. You need to capitalize on what's in your community. There are different organizations in your community that stand out, and you need to look for those organizations. There are organizations in your community, not like Amarillo and not like Petersburg, but you know that they desire to change their community. So if you can tap into those, if you can find those resources, those are the ones that you want to go to. And then 9 times out of 10, they're going to lead you to someone else. You just have to be willing to adapt. Just because we use a sheriff in Petersburg and they use a university out here in Amarillo, and you don't have one in your community, that doesn't mean that you can't do free camp or you can't get funds. There are all kinds of different ways that you can do it. You just need to look around your community and figure out exactly what it is that you have that can help you fund free camp.